Welcome to Beyond the Needle, the Aesthetics Business Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Ruse. I'm a former clinic manager turned digital marketing freelancer, and I've had the privilege of helping dozens of aesthetic practitioners across the UK and beyond grow their business. So I know firsthand just how challenging it can be to build a successful aesthetics practice in today's competitive market. Each week, I'm here to share real, actionable strategies and bring on expert guests to help you level up, attract more patients, and build a standout brand. Let's turn your passion into a thriving business together. Hi everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Needle podcast. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to navigate the January scaries, those quieter months at the start of the year that many clinics often experience, and how to optimize your time if you do find yourself with more gaps than usual. Many clinics stumble into the new year. December is chaos, everybody's fully booked, energy is high, we don't really have much time to think about January, and then when it arrives and the calendar has maybe thinned out a little bit, panic can creep in. But the thing is, January is only quiet when you haven't engineered it to be anything else, and that's exactly what I'm going to be diving into today. How to set up your clinic for a genuinely busy January and February, and more importantly, how to use those quieter months to accelerate your growth faster than you can at any other time of year. Because when you're not busy putting fires out all day, you finally have the space to build the systems, content, and patient journey that will carry your clinic through the whole year. So this episode is going to challenge how you think about seasonality. It will give you practical, immediately actionable strategies, but it will also help you step into that business owner mindset, the one where you show up and set yourself up for a really successful 2026. So if you're ready to stop fearing the quieter months and start using them as leverage, this is the episode for you. But before we get into the rest of the episode, I just want to remind you, if you do enjoy these episodes, please do remember to subscribe to the podcast to be notified when new episodes go live every week. And don't forget to leave me a little review. I really do appreciate it. Okay, now grab a notebook and pen and let's dive into it. So I want to start this episode with a little bit of a mindset reset, because this is where 90% of clinics sabotage themselves. Most practitioners interpret quieter months as a sign that they're doing something wrong. Fewer bookings must mean demand has dropped, and that must mean the clinic is slipping. But the clinics that grow year after year think very differently. They understand that quieter periods are an advantage. In fact, they're often the only time you get to work on the business rather than being swallowed by the day-to-day of working within it. Quiet months expose the gaps you don't notice when you're fully booked. For example, where follow-up is weak, where retention could be stronger, where the client journey feels a bit clunky, where content is inconsistent, or where inquiry handling falls through the cracks. And once you can actually see those gaps, you can put the things in place that you need to in order to fix them and optimize them to be better, which is exactly how high-performing clinics pull ahead. Now let's talk about January specifically, because January is the month when patients crave routine, structure, and a sense of reset. People are often tired of December indulgence. They're back to work, back to structure, back to thinking about themselves again. People often feel a little bit down. They want guidance, they want momentum, they want to feel a bit more together. And on top of that, your competitors go quiet, and that silence creates opportunity. Most clinics post less, they communicate less, and they retreat because they assume no one is booking anyway, which means the marketplace suddenly goes a little bit quieter, and the clinics who show up with clarity and intention instantly stand out from the rest. Engagement becomes higher, decision-making becomes easier. This is the month where consistent clinics steal market share without even trying to. And people start browsing, researching, and inquiring a lot more than they realise. January is a planning month for many people. People aren't just booking holidays for the year ahead to make themselves feel better, or gym membership because they suddenly feel rubbish about all of the things that they've been indulging in over the last month, but they're planning how they want to look and feel for the next 12 months. They're saving inspiration, watching skin journeys, comparing treatments, and thinking, this year is the year that I will deal with this properly. Your job in January isn't just to sell appointments, it's to capture this early year research phase so your clinic becomes the one they commit to when they're ready, even if that's not straight away in January. And you finally have the space to build the foundations that compound for the rest of the year. So when the calendar eases off, you can finally breathe. You're not stuck in that day-to-day grind of treating patients and dealing with day-to-day of running the business. It's a time when you can refine your booking systems, plan strategic content, Fix bottlenecks in your client journey, build nurture sequences, film content, and train, upskill, and elevate your craft. These are the highest ROI tasks in your business, and you'll never have a better window for them than in January. So let's park that a moment, because we're going to be coming back to the things that you can do to optimize any spare time you have in January in just a moment. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is pre-booking clients. Now, we're already midway through December, but one of the most avoidable reasons clinics crash straight into a slow January is that they end December fully booked, but they don't secure the maintenance cycle. December is always busy. Everyone wants to look fresh, brighter, lifted, polished, glowing for Christmas parties, family photos, events, reunions, all of those types of things. So clinics often end the year at capacity, which feels great until the diary suddenly feels like it's dropped off a cliff the second that New Year arrives. But that drop isn't caused by a lack of demand, it's caused by a lack of pre-booking. Your patients aren't thinking, okay, I had my skin boosters this week, so I will need to book in a top up in 6 to 8 weeks. Let me plan that right now. They're thinking about Christmas. They're thinking about logistics, surviving December, all of the gifts they have to buy. They're not plotting their January treatment plan. That's your job. Your job is to guide them to protect their results. And for the majority of your patients, they won't actually be coming in monthly. They'll be coming in every 3 months for their Botox, or every year or so for their filler maintenance, or every 6 months for their skin boosters. So when a lot of your patient database has come in during those last couple of months of the year because they want to look great for the festive season, it makes sense that those months at the start of the year are going to be a little bit quieter, because the majority of people have already come in those last couple of months. And that means you need to be thinking about other treatments that you could be upselling in your clinic that will complement the injectable treatments that people are having. So if people have been coming in November and December for their skin boosters, their fillers, their Botox, you need to be thinking about what else you can offer them to optimize their results and their goals. And that might be some microneedling or some peels or some IPL. And we know that the winter months are the best time of the year to be investing in those treatments. So now is the time to be communicating that with your patients. And a great way to incentivize people to come in during those first couple of months of the year when maybe money is a little bit tight, but they do want to look great. Maybe they feel a little bit tired. They've had a lot going on over the last couple of months, and they're thinking about what they want to be doing with their skin for the year ahead. But you don't need to necessarily slash your prices to get people to come in. Just a small incentive to people who supported you during 2025, or your most loyal patients, or people who came in during November and December. You can give back to those people as a way of saying thank you. And gratitude works better than discounts. Discounts attract deal chasers, clinic hoppers, whereas gratitude deepens loyalty, and loyal clients come back more often, they spend more over time, they refer more of their friends and family, they trust your recommendations, and they stay with you for years and years. So when you reward loyalty, you're not giving money away, you're investing in long-term predictable revenue. So here are some simple strategic ways to say thank you to your patients at the end of 2025 or early 2026. So it could be something like a £25 loyalty credit for returning patients in January that they can put towards the next step of their treatment journey. It's a small credit, but it feels like a nice personal gesture, and it says to people that they matter to you whilst nudging them to rebook without devaluing your work. You could also offer a small add-on gift. So for example, a complimentary LED session, a hydrating mask, or a free skincare product with every microneedling treatment or chemical peel booked in January. It doesn't feel like a discount or a reduction, just a thoughtful add-on, a gift for people. And these gestures cost you very little, but feel highly valuable to patients, and they encourage them to experience something new. Another thing you could think about is a welcome back January only treatment bundle. So bundles help patients think in outcomes, not one-off appointments. So for example, a winter skin reset package, or a glow and hydrate recovery package, or a January de-stress and detox duo. Position these as curated combinations designed specifically for how patients feel in January. Tired, dull, puffy, dehydrated, and then make it clear in your messaging that this isn't discounted, it's exclusive. The value is in the structure and the experience, not in slashed pricing. The key principle is that whatever you offer people in January as a thank you, or as a way to get people to come through the door in those early months of the year that can feel a little bit quieter. The gesture should say, I appreciate you, I've thought about you, you're valued, not we're quiet, please book something. Because patients can feel that energy a mile off, and thoughtful loyalty rewards position your clinic as premium, a place where patients are looked after, not sold to. And in January, especially when people crave routine, care, and a sense of being back on track, this type of gesture lands perfectly and at the perfect time. So those are a couple of things that you can think about for A, giving back to your patients who have supported you in 2025, and B, setting yourself up for a busier 2026. So in an ideal world, if we'd been planning ahead, if I'd been a little bit more on the ball with this episode, I would have said to you, have, a lovely little card that you give every patient who comes to you in November and December that gives them some sort of gift if they rebook in January or February. Obviously, we're midway through December now. So what you can do is send an email that feels personal to your patient database, or people who have come to you in 2025, or people who have come to you just in the last few months of the year, that says thank you for their loyalty, and gives them some sort of gift to use in the new year. Another thing you can think about is doing some sort of giveaway, running that on your social media channels, for example, giving away a free chemical peel treatment to one lucky winner. Set that up as a competition on your Instagram where people have to tag a couple of friends, maybe share it to their stories to enter. Then once that's gone live, boost it, put a little bit of money behind it, even if that's just £75, run it over a week, 10 days, and be very targeted with the people who you are boosting that to. So depending on where you're located, if you're in central London, you might want to keep the radius of the people you're reaching quite small. If you're in a town or a village or a smaller city, you could perhaps go a little bit wider. But really think about the types of people who you want to be entering this competition. So probably for the most part, women only. And the more targeted you are, the better the results will be. So don't try and just reach everybody who lives within a 10-mile radius of you, because you won't be attracting the right people. So really be specific with that. Women aged between 30 and 55 who live within a 10-mile radius, or if you're in London, that would probably be significantly smaller. So that competition is attracting new people to your page and getting them to follow you. And then once the competition is over and you've announced the winner, you can follow up with everybody else who entered by sending them a message on Instagram, thanking them for entering and saying something along the lines of, I'm sorry you didn't win this time, but we'd love to invite you in for a complimentary consultation in January or February, and 10% off your first treatment if you have booked by the end of February. Now, I've talked about this strategy before. It works really, really well. And it's a great way to get new people through the door because you're incentivizing them to come in quickly rather than them thinking, I'll just book when I've got a moment or I'll have to think about it. It's giving them an incentive to take action today because they know if they book now, they'll get that free consultation and they'll get 10% off their first treatment. So that's a really good way of A, getting your clinic in front of more people, raising brand awareness, getting more people over to your page, and B, getting more people through the door. The people who don't book straight away are on your follower list, and you can then nurture them within your content and move them through the buyers process that way. But I really like this strategy. It can be really effective, and I think January is a great time to do it. And then another thing you could think about is perhaps doing a little lucky dip on your reception desk for everybody who comes in that last week of December. They pull out a little card from the Lucky Dip Bowl when they're paying after their treatment, which gives them some sort of gift that they can claim in those early months of 2026. So for example, it might say something along the lines of save £50 when you spend £200 or more on skincare in January, or buy 2 peels and get 1 free when you buy a course in January. Something along those lines. It's giving people something that feels really high value that they can claim for in January. Gives them a reason to come in, a reason to come back, and a reason to spend their money. Now, the early months of the year are also a great time to take a look at your follow-up strategy. Now, this is one of the most untapped opportunities in a lot of clinics, and I've spoken about this before in other episodes, but so many clinics are leaving money on the table because they're not following up with potential patients in the right way or optimally. They're not doing things as well as they should be. And January is a great time to look at inquiries that you might have received in the last couple of months and reconnect with people who were interested but never crossed the line into action. So think about all of the people sitting in your email inbox, your DMs, your spreadsheets, your head, consultation leads who never booked. Maybe they had questions, maybe they felt the timing was off, maybe life got in the way. Those people saw the value, but they just didn't complete the journey, and there's a reason for that. For a lot of people who have come in for a consultation, perhaps paid for a consultation, they were serious. People don't have time and money to waste these days. So if they came in to see you for a consultation, they were really serious about taking the first step of their treatment journey. They were really serious about whatever it was that they came in to speak to you about. So perhaps things got busy, perhaps work was hectic, or the kids were demanding and they just haven't had the time to book in yet. Follow up with those people. Take a look at the people who've been to see you for the last 4 to 5 months for a consultation who never went on to book their first treatment. Send them an email inviting them back in and letting them know that if they want to revisit their treatment plan before they get started, they can come in for a complimentary follow-up consultation before getting started. And I also want you to take a look at your database and pick out all of the people who haven't been into your clinic for 9 months or longer. If they're a Botox client, we could say 4 months or longer. Fillers, 9 months or longer. Skin boosters, maybe 6 months or longer. Skin treatments, maybe even 3 months or longer. So take a look at those different categories of treatments you offer, the patients who were coming in for those treatments and haven't been in for an abnormally long length of time. Now, I want you to send them an email that feels really personal. You might have a template that you kind of have set up and you tweak to everybody you send this to, but I want the email to feel personal that you send to them, and invite them to come back in for a complimentary review consultation where you will take a look at their skin, where they're at now in their journey, the skincare products they're using, any concerns that they specifically have, and get them on a plan for 2026 that's going to set them up for success. I think a lot of people put off following up because it feels salesy. It feels like you're chasing people who maybe don't want to be chased. And for some people, that might be the case. For some reason or another, there will be patients who simply want to save the money, but there will be a lot of patients who just need that gentle push, that gentle reminder to get them to come in again. And a lot of them will be grateful for it, and they will feel valued because you cared enough to actually contact them and invite them to come in. It's showing that their results matter beyond the initial inquiry and the initial treatments that they've had. And when done well, follow-up doesn't sound salesy, it just sounds thoughtful and reassuring. And do the same thing for unconverted inquiries, because there will be a lot of those sitting in your inbox as well. People who perhaps inquired in November or December, but life got in the way. They were too busy to commit to a consultation, but now is the perfect time because most people do have a little bit more time in January and February. People are going on holiday less. The kids are back at school. Life's a little bit more orderly than usual. So now is the perfect time to follow up with those people. And again, depending on how much time you have to spare in January and February, you could invite those people in for a complimentary consultation to get them started. Following up is one of the highest ROI activities in January and February. It's quick, it's free, and it reactivates people who often already know you, they've been in before, and they trust you, or they came very close. And if a clinic wants to fill its January diary fast, this is genuinely one of the most effective things that you can do. Okay, so now I want to touch on creating content that speaks to January feelings. So January has a very specific emotional temperature, and the industries that understand this, fitness, wellness, nutrition, self-development, all build their marketing around it. Aesthetics often doesn't, and that's a huge missed opportunity because January isn't just another month. It's a mindset, a feeling, a shift in how people think about themselves. Your patients aren't sitting there thinking, which treatment should I get? They're thinking, my skin looks tired, everything feels a bit sluggish, I'm puffy and hormonal, I'm breaking out more than usual, I want to reset, I want to feel more like myself again. This year is the year that I'm going to take better care of my skin. Last year, I said I was going to get on top of this. I was going to get on top of my pigmentation. I was going to do something about my tired under eye bags, but I didn't. This year, I want to. They're thinking maybe about weddings that they've got coming up or events. Maybe one of their children is getting married this year. So they're thinking about all of the things they've got coming up in 2026 and how they want to look and feel for those events. In January, people are more reflective, they're more self-critical, more motivated to start fresh. And that is exactly where your content needs to meet them. So January content shouldn't be treatment-led, it should be emotion-led, because patients don't book based on procedures. They book based on how they want to feel, how they want to be this year, what version of themselves they're stepping into. Your content should speak to that transition. So here are a few ideas for posts that work beautifully in January. If your skin feels dull after December, here's what's actually going on. People read that and instantly think, so it's not just me. 3 small tweakments that will instantly help you look fresher. Your skin is dehydrated, not dry. Here's how to fix it. 2 things all of my patients complain about in January and what we do about them. You will be much closer to achieving your skin goals in 2026 if you start these 3 things today. This kind of content resonates because it's not shouting about what you offer, it's just articulating what the client is feeling before they've even said it aloud. When you name a feeling a patient can't quite verbalize, they trust you instantly. When you explain something that they've been wondering, you become a go-to expert in their eyes. And when you offer next steps that feel achievable rather than overwhelming, they're more likely to take action. Identity first content is what cuts through the noise in January, because January is a month of intention setting, and intention setting is emotional. It's about the identity that someone wants to move towards. So your content should make people think, this person really gets me. This feels like exactly what I need right now. This is the year I actually want to sort my skin out. So if you can capture January's emotional landscape and then translate it into clear, supportive content, you won't just gain engagement, you'll gain commitment. And this is where real bookings come from. And on the note of content, I wanted to touch on a strategy that is one of the most powerful and yet one of the most underused tools in a clinic's entire marketing arsenal. And that's the conversations that you're having with all patients in consultation or in the treatment room. Because every single day, patients hand you marketing gold and you're not even realizing it. They give you questions, hesitations, fears, misconceptions, light bulb moments, yet most practitioners let those moments pass without ever capturing them. And that's a huge missed opportunity, because a question asked in the treatment room, that's a piece of content. A hesitation that shows up in your DMs, that's a piece of content. A myth that you find yourself correcting for the 10th time this month, that's absolutely a piece of content. These conversations reveal the real barriers that stop people from booking. And when you turn those barriers into content, you create marketing that feels personal, relevant, and deeply reassuring. So think about this. If one patient asks you something, 20 other people are thinking it. If one person hesitates, doesn't feel the same, but never voice it. If one person worries that they're not the right type of person for a treatment, or if a treatment is safe, others assume it too and talk themselves out of booking because of it. This is why conversation-based content is a great type of content to focus on in January, because January is a month where people are curious but hesitant. They want to improve their skin, they want to feel fresh again, they want to commit to themselves this year, but they're full of questions. Is this right for me? Does it hurt? Will it look natural? Do I need to do this before I commit to that? Is January the right time to start? What if it doesn't work for my skin? What if it goes wrong? If you address these questions before they're even asked, you lower the emotional barrier to booking. You make patients feel safe, understood, and guided. So here are a few powerful formats that clinics could be using that incorporate this type of content. So you've probably been putting this off because ... This one is brilliant because it normalizes hesitation. It tells the patient, your concern is valid and here's how we can solve it. So for example, you've probably been putting this off because you're not sure what treatment you actually need. You've probably been putting this off because you're worried it will look unnatural. You've probably been putting this off because you're wondering whether it's even right for you. This creates relief, and then relief leads to action and is more likely to open up the conversation with people in your DMs. Another one. Here's what most patients get wrong about ... These posts help you shift misconceptions and educate without feeling like you're lecturing. So for example, here's what most clients get wrong about why breakouts spike in January, or how to treat breakouts effectively, or how long filler results really last, or what maintenance really looks like, or what healthy skin actually requires. You become a trusted expert, not because you say you are, but because your content proves it, and it gives that feeling when people read it, because they're connecting to it so well. If you're feeling unsure about booking, Listen to this. This is barrier breaking content at its finest. You're speaking directly to the person hovering on your booking link but not quite ready. These posts reduce fear and increase clarity. The two ingredients missing when someone delays booking. So, for example, if you're feeling unsure about booking, here's how to know if you're ready. If you're feeling unsure about starting your skin journey, here's the one simple first step you can take today. This type of content works especially well in January because people are coming off the back of spending a lot in December, feeling emotionally and physically sluggish, trying to get organised again, wanting a fresh start, but not knowing where to begin. Conversation-based content meets them exactly where they are. It removes the pressure and it shows them that you understand their concerns, sometimes even better than they do. And when someone feels understood, they're more likely to take action. It doesn't try to push people into booking, it simply removes the barriers that were holding them back, and it turns uncertainty into clarity and curiosity into confidence. And as we know, confidence is what drives bookings. Now, of course, I need to touch on optimizing the quiet gaps and how to use them as growth windows in those quieter months at the start of the year. We've already talked about following up with inquiries who haven't gone on to booking, following up with consultations who haven't gone on to having a treatment, and following up with people who haven't been into your clinic for a specific amount of time. That's a great way to optimize your time in those quieter gaps and to reconnect with people who have dropped off, because you will see a return on that if you do it properly. But there are other things that you can do too. Quieter moments are a time to sharpen the systems that will make the next 12 months easier, stronger, and more profitable. This is the real strategic advantage of a quieter January or February. So, a few high impact areas clinics can focus on during the quieter periods include their retention systems. So, everyone talks about attracting new clients, but the clinics that grow sustainably protect the clients they already have. So, use January to review your patient journey step by step, identify where people often drop off, improve rebooking processes, refine consultation scripts or inquiries follow up scripts, tighten follow up sequences, or segment your database so communication is more personalised. So look at your data and ask yourself, where are people drifting? Where does the experience feel unclear? Where could a simple enhancement increase long-term revenue? So retention is about engineering a journey that naturally keeps clients coming back to you time and time again. Build 60 days worth of content. When you're busy in spring and summer, you do not have the luxury of batching content a lot of the time, unless you're super on it, which most of us are not. Quiet periods are the time to film multiple videos in one go, plan out what you want to talk about, give yourself 30 video hooks and ideas, and sit and give yourself a day to film all of those. Maybe you need to do it over multiple days, but just do it, get it out of the way. Trust me, your life will feel so much easier if you have a bank of videos filmed ready to go. Capture voiceovers. So if you've got some treatment content that you've been meaning to record a voiceover for ages, record that voiceover. And then when you've got time, you can put together the treatment content with the voiceover over the top and you've got a lovely polished video. Map out a couple of months worth of content calendars so you know what you're going to be posting and when. And I've done episodes on this, I think, in the past on like what your content should be including and the different types of content you should be including. So do go back and have a listen, and that should give you some inspiration so that you know you've got a little bit of a strategy behind what you're doing rather than just posting things for the sake of posting things. But trust me when I say that people who have a plan, who have a content calendar in place and they know what they're going to be posting when, not only are they more consistent, but they are more likely to see better results from it because they're not just posting random stuff without any planning behind it. You know, they've not just left it until the end of the day when they're tired, they don't really feel like doing anything else. What they want to do is go home, have dinner, chill out, but suddenly you've got to put together a post right at the last minute. That is never going to go down well. That's never going to get results. Yet a lot of clinics do run their social media like that. So have a bit of a plan. Maybe put the first few months of content calendars in place so you know what you're going to be posting and when. This is how you create consistency with your social media, not by trying to think of something clever every morning, but by building content foundations in a calm and structured way. You can also use this time to go through before and after photos. So many people say to me, I've got loads of before and after photos, but I just need to put them together, or I need to put them together and then just ask for permission from my patients to use them. Use this time to put some great before and after photos together. I guarantee you've got some amazing before and after photos that you could be utilising in your content, putting on your website, that are just sitting there untouched. Use this time to go through them And once you've got some great before and after photos in the bank that you've put together and they're signed off, you can use them, you've got the permissions to use them, don't just put them on your social media, put them on your website, put them on treatment pages, maybe use them on social media, not just as static photos, but as green screens where you're kind of talking a little bit about the patient journey and what the patient came to see you about, what their concerns were, what they wanted to achieve. Think about what I just said in the last segment of this episode about those barriers to purchase that people have. Think about how you can address those and actually show what results can look like when done well and in the right hands. Go through your camera roll. I know that most practitioners have lots of treatment content sitting on their camera roll that maybe just needs a little bit of organising. Have a look through what you've got to work with in terms of content for the first few months of the year, and you can start organising it and structuring it better and thinking about how you could be utilising it in the best way. This kind of content is great because it builds trust faster than anything else, because people can see your real work, your skill, and often it's just in one visual you can break down a lot of those barriers that people have to booking, because they can see the results look natural, they look good, the person still looks like them, just fresher, which is what most people are aiming for. Another thing you can do during this time, optimize and update your Google business profile. This is such an underrated tool, I think, for so many clinics. January traffic for things like skin clinic, aesthetics clinic, peels near me, facials near me, Botox, dermal fillers, skin boosters, always spikes people in research mode. So make sure your services are accurate, your photos look clean and current, your opening hours are accurate, your reviews are fresh, and your categories are correct. And maybe go on and a lot of people don't know that you can put posts on your Google profile. You can put like updates and postings to your Google business profile. And Google loves and rewards businesses who do this. So anything you're putting on your social media, maybe not everything, but the odd thing, put on your Google business profile too, because that will help with your SEO and it will make Google more likely to rank you higher than other clinics. If you do a little audit of your Google business profile and you make some updates and you look at your reviews and you see that no one has left you a review for a couple of months or more, this could also be a good time to follow up with patients or put processes in place that automate this, so that anyone who leaves the clinic gets an email asking them to leave a Google review. This is such an important thing that so many people don't really put much thought into, because again, Google will reward clinics who have more Google reviews because it makes you look like you're more trusted. Google knows that you're somewhere where people have good experiences, and therefore it will rank you higher than other places in your area. So really focus on nailing your reviews. Invite people who have been to see you in the last few months to leave you a Google review, and then make sure you've got the processes in place that will do this automatically for you in the future. You could also use this time to create new nurture sequences. So most clinics rely on one-off replies, generic emails, or inconsistent communication, but January is a time to build DM flows that support people who inquire but aren't ready, or get people onto your mailing list who perhaps aren't ready to actually book a consultation. So you could look at tools like ManyChat to automate this, to automate welcome messages for new followers on your Instagram that introduce yourself and ask them whether there's anything they'd like to find out more about, or that optimize the inquiry process. So, for example, in your call to actions on your posts, you could invite people to DM the word more already, and they will receive an automatic message that invites them to book a consultation and leads them to exactly where they need to go in order to do that. So it just makes the whole process a little bit more seamless. You could also think about email sequences that educate and nurture, or consultation follow-up templates, or cold lead reactivation messages, or pre- and post-treatment education sequences. So for example, think about high-value treatments that you offer like RF microneedling or oral therapy, Softwave. People come in, they spend a couple of £1,000s on a treatment or a course of treatments, depending on what technology it is that they're having. And they go away and they wait for the results to appear. What are they doing in between? What could they be doing in between? It's great to have a post-treatment education sequence that will help people understand how to optimize their results. And that could be the things that they can be doing within their lifestyle or within their skincare. And you've obviously gone through this in clinic as well, but it will just help remind people, but also to educate them about other treatments that they could be having that will help optimize the results further. So, for example, peels that will address surface irregularities, or skin boosters to optimize collagen and skin texture, which work really well alongside things like RF microneedling or soft wave. But it's just about keeping people engaged and not letting them walk out of your clinic door and then never to be seen again until they maybe come in for their follow-up appointment. But talking to them and reminding them the other things they could be doing to support their results. January is also a great time to review your pricing, positioning, and your packages, maybe to launch a membership. I've done an episode of memberships. Go and listen to that if you want to learn more about that and how you can be doing that effectively. But memberships are going to be huge in 2026. They're already big. We saw a massive increase in clinics offering memberships in 2025. But in 2026, I think they're going to be even more important. And it's also a great time to look at your pricing and ask yourself, do my current prices reflect my expertise and results? Does my treatment menu confuse patients or guide them? Is my positioning clear? Could my packages be more outcome driven? Refining these elements now increases patient understanding and increases your revenue per client later on. And like I say, I do think if you haven't launched your membership packages yet, now is a great time to think about what you could offer, whether you're going to offer one thing, like a Botox membership, which is often a great one for people to do and an easy one for people to do, or a skin rejuvenation membership, a skin club, something along those lines that is going to get people to sign up so that they're paying you a monthly direct debit and they're getting a certain amount of treatments throughout the year, as well as other benefits on top of that. It's a great way to keep people engaged, to keep people consistent, to keep people coming back time and time again. And also a great way of getting a bit of security in your revenue. So when you do have quieter months, as we often do in January and February, you know you've got X amount of money coming in from all of the people that signed up to your memberships. Okay, and that's where we will wrap today's episode. So if there's one thing I want you to take away, is this: January isn't something to dread. It's something that you can engineer. Quiet months don't need to feel scary or unpredictable. When you know how to pre-book strategically, follow up intentionally, communicate with clarity, and use the quieter spaces to strengthen your systems, January can actually be one of your most successful months of the year. Most clinics look at January and see a dip, but high-performing clinics look at it and see it as an opportunity. It's your chance to refine, reset, and realign. Not just your patient's skin, but the structure of your whole business, your content, your booking systems, your nurturing, your positioning, your offers. These are the foundations that determine how the next 12 months unfold. So take what we've covered today, implement it with intention, and watch how differently your clinic performs, not by working harder, but by working smarter and more strategically. And remember, if you treat January like a reset, it will become your biggest advantage. Thank you so much for joining me. If you found this episode helpful, as I say, please do subscribe to be notified when episodes go live. You won't be bombarded with notifications, but you will know when new episodes have gone up. And please do leave me a review and maybe even share it with another practitioner who needs a bit of clarity and confidence going into the new year. And as always, if you want more support, guidance, or strategy tailored to your clinic, you know where to find me. You can find me over at Bloom and Beyond Studio on Instagram. I'm always happy to help if you have questions. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next episode.